Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Mental Health Monday. We are mental health and wellness peer educators, and my name is Brianna and Mariam.
My name's Mariam Samasi.
And today we're going to be going over attachment theory. Today, just kind of giving you a little background and how this can apply to our own lives. So first, what is attachment theory? Well, attachment theory was originally developed by John Bowlby, famously in the 1900s. And this theory kind of just says that humans form emotional bonds with others, particularly in close relationships. And this doesn't necessarily have to be just romantic relationships, it's just kind of any interpersonal relationship we have throughout our lives. So, attachment theory starts when we are young. Initially, attachment theory explored solely just the way infants attach to their primary caregivers, but then it kind of developed into exploring how an individual's attachment style can impact the way they behave in their adult relationships as well. So we found some kind of history on this theory that kind of points in the direction of an infant instinctively seeking closeness to a secure attachment figure. And this closeness is necessary for the infant to feel not only safe emotionally, but also kind of physically, because that caregiver is a source of food, and food is survival. Food, shelter, and everything like that is necessary for survival. And then just a little study on the side that we want to mention, kind of just to get attachment theory really in our heads, is a study famously done by Harlow in 1958, where he separated infant monkeys from their mothers immediately after birth, and he placed them in cages that only had two surrogate mothers. One was made of wire and the other was covered in like soft terry cloth. And he found that baby monkeys that were in these cages tended to spend way more time with the cloth mother than with their wire mother, just because the wire mother was not as warm and kind of they didn't get that warm attachment as much with the wire mother as something that they could hold on to and cuddle, and they trusted the terry cloth mother way more than the wire mother as well.
Yeah, so here we have the types of attachment: secure, anxious, also known as anxious ambivalent or anxious preoccupied, avoidant, also known as dismissive avoidant, and disorganized, also known as fearful avoidant, and we will just refer to them as the ones that are in bold. First, we'll start out with secure. This type of attachment forms in childhood when the primary caregiver is responsive and meets the needs of the child. And in adulthood, it can look like intimacy coming naturally to the securely attached person. They're good at communicating their needs and are emotionally available. They don't worry much about the relationship and they're responsive to their partner's emotional experiences and cues. So they would be able to see when their partner is feeling distressed and then respond to that accordingly, or when they're having positive experiences. And they are able to ask for help, but also be independent. So this looks like healthy interdependence. And they allow their partner to do the same thing. They give and receive support, and they are consistent and maintain long-term relationships. Then we have the anxious attachment style. This attachment style can look kind of needy. Relationships tend to take over a considerable chunk of their lives, which is true for everyone, but it's more so for those who are anxiously attached. Um, they're susceptible to their partner's actions and mood shifts, reading into them. So they might interpret their partner's shifts in mood as negative sometimes. They need a lot of reassurance in the relationship and they worry often. They might wonder if their partner loves them or cares about them as much as they care about their partner. They have a hard time trusting their partner, and they might wonder things like if their partner is cheating on them. This attachment style is said to form in childhood when the primary caregivers are inconsistent. So sometimes they're there and sometimes they aren't. And as a result, the child learns that they need to be really attentive to their caregiver so that they can get their needs met.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the avoidance style. This person values independence and self-sufficiency, but even more so than what would be culturally common here in America, where we have like an individualist society. They would be uncomfortable with too much closeness in their relationship because they feel like it threatens their autonomy. They don't worry much about their romantic relationships or their close attachments. They aren't worried about being rejected as much. They can be closed off and emotionally distant in their relationships and territorial and need a lot of personal space. They want to handle things on their own and have a hard time accepting emotional support. So maybe even in times where they might need emotional support, they would prefer to handle everything on their own and be more stoic about it. And then we have disorganized attachment. This has characteristics of both avoidant and anxious attachment. So they have a high capacity for intimacy, but find closeness threatening. So they want to be really close, and they also, once they feel close, they need to get away. And this attachment style is most associated with abuse in childhood. So this person tends to send mixed signals in their relationships. Like I was saying, they might seem needy, but then they might be cold and distant too. And it might happen in like a flip of a switch for them. They have a hard time opening up and letting people in and to see like who they actually are inside. And it's difficult for them to trust their partners. Down here in the corner, you can see this scale will explain like if an individual has a low avoidance and low anxiety, they might be more secure. If they have low avoidance and high anxiety, they might be anxious and so on. Also, on the disorganized attachment, actually, on the avoidant attachment that we did right before this slide, that attachment style is said to develop in childhood when the child is looked at as inconvenient to the caregivers, so their needs are not met, consistently not met, and so they learn to be fiercely independent and self-reliant. But underneath that, they still need people just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then one more point I'd like to make is if someone's attachment is insecure, which about half of the population is insecure and half is secure, we can earn a secure attachment through relationships with others, secure relationships with therapists or friends or partners. Our attachment will change over time.
So why is everything Mariam and I covered important? So first, attachment theory provides a construct to explain how the quality of early developmental bonding between an infant and caregiver expressed throughout our lives. And attachment theory also highlights the importance of a child's emotional bond with their primary caregivers. And it kind of shows how disruption or loss of this bond, as Miriam was saying, can really affect somebody emotionally and psychologically all the way into adulthood throughout their lives and throughout their future relationships. So healthy attachments are really important for your mental health because we have seen research that consistently shows that healthy attachments tend to increase life satisfaction and happiness. You're also able to rely on a support system and vent to other people, rely on other people when you're not feeling so mentally healthy or not so mentally energetic. You can kind of lean on others, which kind of ties into that increasing life satisfaction. Healthy attachments have also been found to lower rates of anxiety and depression. They've also been found to result in higher self-esteem. And when you are in healthy attachments with other people, you also tend to kind of learn to be a greater empathetic person, because you not only have a support system, you are a support system for somebody else. And finally, healthy attachments, just one of the many other things that they can do is improve your physical health. So we found that healthy attachments with other people tend to result in a longer lifespan, decreased sickness time, and things of that nature, where you're just able to heal more quickly or you're able to live a little bit longer, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just our closing remarks. In general, like we said, attachment theory kind of explains how humans form emotional bonds with others, particularly in close relationships. We know this because we kind of look back on childhood and we find that young children really need to develop a close relationship with their primary caregiver for healthy social and emotional development throughout the rest of their lives, really. Miriam went over 4 types of attachment, the first being secure, the second being anxious, or also known as anxious ambivalent or anxious preoccupied, the third being avoidant, or also known as dismissive avoidant, and the last one being disorganized, also known as fearful avoidant. So, in general, understanding attachment can give us a better insight into our own development and how our development impacts our own interpersonal interactions and relationships. And knowing this and kind of understanding this insight kind of also gives you the power to improve your own close relationships and your relationships with your own children, if you choose to have any, or if you can have any children. Because then if there are any cycles of insecurity and anxiety kind of running through your family, you're able to have the power and the knowledge to break the cycle and set your relationship up with your future children, in a way to kind of end this cycle of insecure and anxious attachment. So thank you so much for listening to our Mental Health Monday. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, or you just want to stop by, you can visit us on the second floor of the University Center, 2157 University Center on the main campus at UM-Dearborn. And attached to this slide is also our email, umdearborncaps@umich.edu, and our number, 313-593-5430. Again, thank you so much. We're so happy to present to you. Thank you.
Thank you.